Hello Internet Allies, how are you doing? So today what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about reading and why I love to read, because reading is what? Fundamental! I just had to put that joke in there. Well, both kinds of reading, I guess. The reading is in reading books and reading is in like making like snarky comments and judging people. Yeah, so yeah, here we go. Reasons why I love to read. This is mainly going to be focusing on reading books, to be honest. I'm not really a mean person, I don't think. Reading is what? Fundamental. So, reading. Okay, so I've spoken several times on this channel about I find reading to be quite therapeutic and whatnot, and it can help me on nights when I can't sleep. You know, if I come downstairs, have a cup of tea and read for a bit, you know, it helps to like calm me down. And I think I mentioned in a previous video that it's hot now in summer and whatnot, it's the warmer months. So basically it helps to like cool me down as well. I think another thing what I really love about reading is that it's just really like immersive, like, you know, you can just use your like imagination to basically just escape. It's like, it is a great form of escapism, and you can just use your imagination to kind of picture what the scenes are actually like in your mind, rather than having them basically be told for you by kind of watching something. I'll also say about reading, I think I definitely appreciate it a lot more now than I did when I was a child, and I think the reason for this is basically because I think as a child, when you're at school and whatnot, I think reading is something that's basically forced upon you. I mean, it is definitely an essential skill to have and whatnot, and yeah, I think it is basically one of those skills that I think a lot of people do take for granted. I think like when you're reading because you want to read, it's a lot more fun than basically reading books that you may be like forced to read or forced to study. Just keep reading and reading and reading and reading. And now I gotta keep on reading. Sorry, I was listening to that song earlier, and the Ariana Grande song, the like original song, that was just a parody I literally just thought of in my head. I think another thing I love about reading is the whole like diversity of it. Like, I know a lot of other mainstream media is like super diverse, but what I really love about like reading books is that I think definitely a lot of modern books now like have a lot of great like representation of like minorities. So basically whether that's like race, gender, sexual orientation, sexuality, etc. And you know, those kind of stories to me like are like really interesting for me to read. And I think also like, I think with like a lot of like self-help, mental health books as well, they've definitely helped me to basically learn like a lot of like coping strategies. I mean, most recently I've been reading You Will Get Through This Night by Daniel Howard. He was like one of my biggest role models and one of my favourite YouTubers, and one of the basically one of the reasons I got into YouTube in the first place. Yeah, and some of like his like mental health struggles I can really relate to. And some of the coping strategies he's written in that book, like, I've been able to like implement in my own life. Even things as simple as like, you know, savouring and enjoying my food more, like with like mindful eating, and kind of learning a lot more about what mindfulness actually is. Because I've had people in the past like talk about like mindfulness and how it's helped them, but like I don't really feel like they've really properly like explained to me what it is. It's not just basically like just kind of sitting still and breathing in and out kind of thing, you know, and I'm not really particularly good at like sitting still, to be honest. But when it's kind of explained to me in a bit more detail, where like you can implement mindfulness into like any aspect of life, then that's really, really helpful. I also really admire like anybody who writes books, you know, I admire like their imagination and whatnot as well. And for them to like think up of like all these like different like settings, different worlds and whatnot, different concepts and stuff. Like, it's really interesting to read that and basically, you know, like to picture my own imagination in those books kind of thing, and just to sort of, you know, like escape from reality really. And also, like, it would be great if I could like write a book, like either whether or not that's based on like my own life, my own experiences, or even just like a fun work of fiction and stuff like that. Like, I think that'd be a great dream for me to have one day. Like, I mean, I don't know whether I'll ever achieve it, but yeah, I would really love to do that. You know, I'd love to like picture my own like imagination. One thing I'd really love to do is that like books are very sort of portable as well, which is great. So basically you can like read them more or less anywhere you really wanted to. And one thing I would really love to do is like, I don't know, just go to my local park and just kind of just sit on a bench and read. Because, you know, it's just like a nice little setting, you know, like I think like at home, like there can sometimes be like a lot of distractions, but if I'm out and about and whatnot, I mean, yeah, sure, there can be a lot of distractions, but like, you know, if I just wanted like a quiet moment away from all the crowds and everything, then yeah, I could just like pick up a book and whatnot and kind of go and just read in the park and stuff and whatnot. It's great. Or like, you know, even like in a cafe or whatever, you know, just kind of just sit inside a cafe and do some nice reading and whatnot, you know. I'd love to do that. I would really love to do that, and I think I should do that a lot more often, really. I think also what I love about reading is that it's a great like topic of conversation as well. Even if you're talking to people who aren't necessarily interested in books and reading, you know, say for example, there's like my sister, my dad, my best friend Josh, like, I don't know, I just love talking about it because it just gives me something to talk about, you know. It's like, oh right, this is basically what I've been doing, you know. So basically currently I'm reading a book which is basically supposed to be set in my like local area. It's called Grave Secrets. So it's basically set in my local area, and it's basically about like kind of like this supernatural romance novel kind of thing. It's quite bizarre. It's a quite bizarre concept, but it's really fun. Also, what I love about reading is basically getting recommendations for books or giving recommendations to other people. Other people can inspire me to basically like read books that they recommend, and you know, I can like likewise return a favour and recommend those books to other people as well. So, you know, I know like my friend Megan, they love to read as well, and you know, sometimes like we've sort of like exchanged book recommendations. Megan got me into the Chaos Walking series, and I did kind of enjoy it. Like it's very Hunger Games-esque, if you know what I mean. Like it's kind of that sort of like young adult like novel thing. So basically if you love like stuff like Hunger Games, Maze Runner, Divergent, like you'll like Chaos Walking. I don't know whether like or not like I would be interested in joining a book club. I mean, it would be a great way to meet new people and kind of basically just expand my knowledge of books. But I don't know, I just, again, I feel like that could like kind of put me into like a similar category into like how I was like at school, where like you're kind of like forced to read certain books and whatnot. And you know, I don't really want to read books because I have to. I want to read books because I want to. But again, book clubs are a great way to meet new people. So, you know, if you're into that, then I recommend it. So basically, what books do I like then? I will say this, I'm not necessarily a die-hard book fan. I'm not necessarily a book expert. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say well, like, got like a favourite book or favourite author or whatever. But like, it's just something I like enjoy doing, like just like on a casual basis and stuff like that. I kind of like most genres really, to be honest. I suppose what I really like seeing in books is like representation. So basically whether or not that is to do with like race, gender, sexual orientation, disabilities, etc. Like, you know, so I love like, you know, LGBTQ plus novels. I love like fantasy stuff. I love, I don't know, I just love like really anything. I love like easy reads as well. Like, I think, you know, I don't want to like have like a book which is like a couple of thousand pages long or whatever, but like, you know, just kind of like an average sized book which may be like, you know, 300 odd pages and whatnot. That's kind of enough for me, really. What I would love to ask you guys is basically, what kind of books would you recommend I read? So yeah, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know in the comments, like I just said, what books you'd recommend, and if you love reading, why you love reading. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Until next time, keep smiling. Bye.